the way things have to be done. We have to do things piecemeal. This year, chickens are, if you're involved in small scale agriculture, chickens can be very, very profitable. They're because once you tasted a yard raised chicken, you just won't ever have one of those from Walmart again, because they got texture and taste, and oh man, they're just fabulous. So anyway, they're easy for small farmers to sell. They're fairly easy to raise, and they're very profitable. And in Alabama, the USDA, which covers the whole country, has a 20,000 bird exemption. In other words, USDA says, if you kill fewer than 20,000 birds, we don't want to know about it. We don't care. You do what you want to do. And the way Alabama interpreted that was, you kill 20,000 birds without worrying about it. In Tennessee, they said, oh, no. The Tennessee Department of Agriculture said, oh, no, you can't kill even one bird. Well, that's crazy. But we found some documentation that showed that they knew they had to recognize that exemption. But this year, Frank Nicely and some other people got together in the legislature and passed a law forcing the Tennessee Department of Agriculture to recognize that 20,000 bird exemption. So, I mean, 20,000 birds is $100,000 possible profit to a small farmer. Now, 20,000 birds is a lot of birds killed in your own place. Not many people are going to do that. 1,000 birds is a lot. But you see what I'm saying? There's a little window been opened here. Just a little loophole that small farmers can go through and really begin to make a living. But I don't know about Kentucky.
It's the same with the milk shares.
Is it the same with milk shares?
I mean, it's not just agriculture as far as that goes, if you're thinking of local economy. You know, you can't buy furniture that is made of particle board that doesn't fall apart when you move it down or the thing. But men can make furniture and use wood and do, I mean, so there's a whole slew of things that are available to people who are thinking this way. And part of this is simply to develop the idea that we're going to have to pay for, you know, the guy's time to do a good job and get the thing done.
And let me just point out something, that this lowest price mentality has also resulted in cultural deprivation. When I say that, I mean we have been deprived of the culture that we once had. And when I say culture, I don't mean just symphony orchestras and literature. I mean the daily culture. I would invite any of you to take a trip over on Highway 64 and just drive all the way over to Asheville, North Carolina. And if you go to Asheville, North Carolina, one of the things that you're going to notice is, wow, this place is really beautiful. And it's not beautiful in some sort of imported way, but they have used the building techniques and the decorative and fence building techniques to enhance the way property looks. And it's astounding when you see the difference that local culture, the production of local culture in a local tradition makes. And it's different in every place. But most of those craftsmen have disappeared because they couldn't make a living doing it. But this is the kind of furniture, for instance, in this case you're talking about, that you'll go now to the antique store and pay 5 times what you pay in the furniture store, and the reason is because you know it's not going to fall apart before you get home, and if it gets wet, it won't melt. So, but see, what I'm trying, I'm not being specific in giving you prescriptions for reviving a local economy, and I'm doing that on purpose, because if I give you a prescription, you'll make a list and you'll go out and say, okay, we're going to do these things. If I don't, you're going to have to think of, hey, what can we do? And your imagination is of so many different people, is so much richer than mine alone. You're going to come up with things I'd have never even thought about. I mean, you just made a point that I've never used before, and I mean, it's obvious when you said it, but I hadn't thought about it before. So see, there are all kinds of things, and there are different things that you can do at this place than I can do at my place. They're different things because you have different advantages here that we just don't have in our place. So I want to leave you encouraged tonight in this way. Time is on your side. History has turned in your favor now. If you are a person who loves liberty and believes that people ought to be free, history is turned in your favor. I know it looks like the other side is winning. I know that every time you listen to national pompous radio or turn on the TV or any of that stuff, you say, oh my gosh, the end of the world is here. It's not so. And there are millions of people like you who have integrity, who have moral values, and who are just waiting to put their lives back to work. And that's what all you have to do is just give somebody else in your local community hope. And you don't, I'm not saying give them money, don't do that, for heaven's sake. Just give them some hope and encouragement. And you'll find out that the seeds are already planted there. All you got to do is just give them room to grow. Yes, sir.
You say we're at the turn and we're going to see this new decentralization, but how chaotic is the turn going to end up being?
Very.
Yeah.
Because people have transferred their loyalties. The state is being delegitimated or delegitimized. That is, if you think about it, what institution in society has more legitimacy than anything else? Probably, if you were talking 30, 40 years ago, you'd say the state did. Even more than the church, in most places. The state was the state was the place where we could go to get a fair deal. The state has been delegitimated in the last 20 years in the United States. Now, not universally, but the crack is there. So that change is just beginning to take place, and it's going to accelerate. As that's happening, people are taking their loyalty and saying, well, the state doesn't deserve my loyalty anymore. Where am I going to put it? And they're going to put it with their nearest affinity group. Because remember, we've lost our sense of identity. Our sense of identity used to come from family and church and place. And that's been largely destroyed. So now our sense of identity tends to come from whatever affinity group that we belong to. Like, for instance, say you're a real ardent environmentalist. Well, then your affinity group are all those environmental organizations. Now, there's an inauthenticity to that, of course, because I don't know all those. Those people are my community, but they're not really my community because I don't know those people personally. But those affinity groups are where power is going to flow to them in part. And so you're going to see NGOs, for instance, non-governmental organizations. I all know what I'm talking about. NGOs like, well, a lot of them in the environmental movement, a lot of them in health services around the world. But those non-governmental organizations are going to find that they have a lot more support, and people are going to send their loyalty in that direction. Regions are going to acquire more loyalty. Do you know what's happening in Scotland in September? This is unbelievable. 50 years ago, it was unthinkable. It would have been treason to suggest such a thing. Scotland's going to have a referendum about whether or not they will secede from the United Kingdom. They have been in the United Kingdom since 1707. You see what I'm saying about those trends changing? Catalonia, which is the eastern part of Spain, wants to withdraw from Spain. Galicia, which is the western part of Spain, wants to withdraw. Normandy wants to get out of France. Everywhere you look, Venice just took a referendum to secede from Italy, for heaven's sake. Y'all don't think about this. Italy was not one country until 1872. I think that's right. I think that date's right. And so what's happening is people are looking at these power centers and they're saying, this is not worth my loyalty. This does not deserve my loyalty anymore. I'm going to transfer my loyalty to my region, to my community. So that's why I say, see, history's on your side. The social trend is on your side. I really believe that. But there'll be a lot of chaos as people try to sort out, where am I going to go? How does this change take place? There's a saying in Africa that when the elephants fight, the ants had better get out of the way. And that's true, because these are enormous social forces and enormous institutions that are fighting for their lives now, and we ants can certainly get stepped on in the midst of all that. But so there'll be a period of, certainly of chaos. I don't think that's started yet, but it certainly will.
Can you
Thank
tell
you
us
very
about
much.
your books real quick?
Oh, yeah, one more time. This is At Home in Dogwood Mud Hole, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And this is literally the story of how my family, a bunch of city people, adjusted to living in the country. And then also, y'all don't forget to pick up copies of my newsletter. There are two different months back there in the back. And I've really enjoyed speaking to y'all. And I deeply appreciate the compliment that you give me by coming to hear what I have to say. And I hope it will be valuable to you. Thank you.